So we are now beginning module 7, and the first lesson in module 7, lesson 7.1, write and solve two-step equations in the format of px plus q is equal to r. And our learning target is I can write two-step equations of the form px plus q is equal to r and use inverse operations to solve the equations. And basically, again, the vocabulary that we are going to be using here is stuff we have done in the past, like the addition property of equality, subtraction property of equality, multiplication and division properties of equality. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's first start with a two-step equation, as I can see that's written over there, which is 5x plus 3 is equal to 13. And this is a two-step equation because it has two operations. And when we talk about operations, it's basically the order of operations, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. These are operations. All right. So when we are saying two-step equation, it has two operations paired with the variable. In this case, the operations are multiplication, all right, and we have addition. So multiplication and addition, because coefficient is multiplied with the variable, so that is multiplication and addition. So these are the two operations that we have here. To solve a two-step equation, undo the operations in reverse order of the order of operations. So in order of operations, normally we do multiplication before addition. In this case, we are doing the opposite because we are looking at what's not attached to the variable. So that's the part we are going to solve for first. So it is in the opposite order of the order of operations, okay? So when I say what is not attached immediately to the variable, it would be the plus 3, because 5 is completely attached to the variable, okay? Because we are solving for the variable in that case. Okay, so we are first going to undo the addition. So what is undo the addition mean? That means the opposite or the inverse of addition is subtraction. So we are going to use the subtraction property of equality, which means that in an equation, if I subtract the same number from both sides of the equality, therefore, in that case, it is going to be the same number. All right. The equation is going to remain the same. So if I have plus 3, I am going to do minus 3 on both sides. So the equation still remains the same. Okay. And then 3 minus 3, I get 0. And I have 5x is equal to, and then I have 13 minus 3, which gives me 10. Okay. And then now it has become a one-step equation at this point. Okay. Because I have one operation, coefficient before the variable, which is multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication, or the inverse operation of multiplication, is division. So I am going to divide both sides by 5. Okay, and 5 divided by 5 is going to give me 1, and 1 times x is x, because any number times 1 is the number itself. So that is x, and 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. So the variable x is equal to 2. We can always check the solution. We can check the solution by taking the original equation, which was 5x plus 3 is equal to 13. And then we are going to substitute the value of x, and we said x is equal to 2. So 5 times 2 plus 3 should equal 13. And based on order of operations, now that we only have numbers, 5 times 2, we will do multiplication first. So this is 10 plus 3 is equal to 13. And yes, 13 is equal to 13. So this is correct when I check my solution. All right. So let's quickly talk about the different properties, because you can use the properties of equality to solve equations algebraically. And so the addition property of equality is nothing that two sides of an equation remain equal when you add the same number to each side. In subtraction property, you subtract the same number from each side of the equation. For the multiplication property, two sides of an equation remain equal if you multiply each side by the same number. And the division property of equality is when you divide each side by the same non-zero number. And so that's basically what we are doing over here when we are solving these equations. Okay? So let's start with the example of negative 2y minus 7 is equal to 3. So if I look, we will have to do the inverse operation of negative 7 first. Remember, we are going in reverse order of the order of operations. So here, subtraction comes before your multiplication. And so we are going to add 7 to both sides of the equation, because when I add the same number to both sides of the equation, that is my addition property of equality. So 7 minus 7 is 0. I have negative 2y is equal to, and I get 7 plus 3, which is 10. Okay, so now we are again going to simplify and this is multiplication. The coefficient is negative 2. So opposite of multiplication is division. I am going to divide both sides of the equation by the same number, which would be negative 2. Divide by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 1. And 1 times y gives me y. And positive divided by negative, and I get negative 5. Okay, so here is my answer. And again, we are going to check the solutions. Okay, I'm going to check the solution over here. You take the original equation, negative 2y minus 7 is equal to 3. And then we said y is negative 5. So negative 2 times negative 5 minus 7 is equal to 3. Negative times negative gives me positive. So this is 2 times 5. This becomes 10 minus 7 is equal to 3. And 10 minus 7 is 3 is equal to 3. So the equation, both sides should be completely balanced. So that is correct. So let's solve one where all right. So let's say my question is 4 plus 1/5 r, okay, is equal to negative 1. Now, again, when we look at this, we can say that this is immediately attached, and based on opposite of order of operations, we are going to do the addition before the multiplication. All right. So now, since we have 4, the inverse of 4 is minus 4. So we are going to use the subtraction property of equality. And we are going to subtract 4 from both sides. Minus 4, minus 4. Because whatever I do on one side of the equation, I've got to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the equation to keep it balanced, because it's an equation, okay? And so 4 minus 4 is 0. And then I have 1/5 r is equal to, since they are both the same signs, -1 plus -4. So therefore, we end up with -5. Okay, so same signs you add and give that a common sign. And so now we look at, okay, this is 1/5 r, and opposite of multiplication is division. So again, what are we going to do? We are going to use the multiplication property of equality in this case, only because this is 1 divided by 5, right? So because this is division, yes, it is multiplying the coefficient with the variable, but if I do 1 times r, what do I get? R divided by 5. So that is why this is now division. So the opposite of division is going to be multiplication property of equality. So I'm going to divide both sides, multiply both sides by 5, by 5. Because when I write 5 over 1, 5 divided by 5 gives me 1. And so then I'm left with what? I'm left with r is equal to -5 times 5, which gives me -25 as my solution. All right. In order to check for your solution, all you do is you are going to substitute the value into the original equation, which was 4 plus 1/5 r. And what have we found r to be? As -25 should equal -1. Okay. And so if this is multiplication, so over 1, and I know this -25 divided by 5, I'm going to get negative divided by positive. I'm going to get a negative answer. So this is 1 and this is -5. And so then I have 4 plus -5. Since they're opposite signs, we are going to subtract the absolute values and give the sign in front of the bigger number. So that means 5 minus 4, which is 1, and the sign in front of this is negative. So therefore, yes, we get -1 is equal to -1, and that is absolutely correct, and it's a true statement. So the solution is correct. Right? Now, there are two ways to solve two-step equations. One is the arithmetic method, and the other one is the algebraic method. Okay? So, I'm going to show you both. So you have the arithmetic method and the algebraic method. So let's say I'm just going to use an example. Natalie is participating in a jogathon. Her goal is to raise $125. Okay? Natalie's goal is to raise $125. Okay? And she has collected $80. All right? She has collected already $80. All right? And will receive $3 for each lap. Will receive $3 per lap. Okay, so $3 per lap around the track she jogs. How many laps does she need to jog to reach her goal? So the arithmetic method would be, so here's the arithmetic method. All right, so we are just going to say the amount Natalie still needs to reach her goal. This can be represented by the following equation. We can say $125 minus, because she already has collected $80, so minus $80 This is going to give me 125 minus 80 gives me $45. All right. And then uh, she will earn $3 for every lap she jogs. So she needs to jog $45 divided by 3 because she's getting $3 per lap, right? Or 15 laps to reach the goal. So 15 laps to reach the goal. So this is my answer. Okay. Now for the algebraic method, so I'm just going to erase this part. Okay. And then we have the algebraic method. And in this, we are going to let X represent the number of laps. Okay, so number of laps is equal to X. And so we are going to let X represent the number of laps Natalie needs to jog around the track to reach her goal. So we are going to write and solve an equation. Her goal is $125. And this is equal to, she has collected how much? 80 plus $3 times how many laps that she does, right? So now that I have an equation written out like this, all I'm doing is now solving it. So I can see that the first thing I have to do is subtract 80 using the subtraction property of equality from both sides. So this is minus 80 minus 80. Okay, and that is going to give me 80 minus 80 is 0. So I have 3x is equal to, when I do 125 minus 80, I get 45. Okay, and now it is a one-step equation, and so I have coefficient before the variable. That means there's multiplication. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division, and I am going to divide 3 from both sides of the equation. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. So 1 times x is equal to x, and 45 divided by 3 gives me 15. So here is my answer. Okay, using either method, Natalie needs to jog 15 laps to reach her goal. So these are the two methods that can be used, which would be the arithmetic method, or we can use the algebraic method and then do the two-step equation to solve it. Okay. Um, so learning to write two-step equations are some real-world situations can be represented by two-step equations. All right. And for example, we can talk about, let's see, Toya had her birthday party at the movies. All right. So let me go ahead and show you how to set that up. Okay. So Toya had her birthday party at the movies. It cost $27 for pizza. Okay. And $8.50 per friend for the movie tickets. Okay. So the cost of the pizza because that's what you're trying to calculate. You're writing and solving an equation to determine how many friends Toya had at her party if she spent $78. Okay, so the cost of the pizza plus the cost per friend plus the cost per friend, right? Times the number of friends times the number of friends equals $78. Equals $78. So this is just the word format of what the question is asking, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to use the variable. Let n is going to represent the number of friends, okay? N is going to represent the number of friends, number of friends. And if I'm showing a bar diagram for this, basically, what is it? So for the bar diagram, um, okay, so we have pizza and tickets, and we know that the cost of the pizza in this case was $27, right? So we are just going to make a bar diagram, and we're going to say pizza. This is pizza. All right. And the pizza was $27. Okay, this much is $27. And we have tickets. And we have your tickets. Okay. And the tickets are like the overall, which is costing $8.50 per person. Okay. So we are going to do times n because depends on how many friends are going. And the total amount is costing $78. Okay, so this much and this much is $78. So I just wanted you to see a visual of what I'm trying to do. And then I can just write this out as an equation. Okay, and my equation over here, my equation would be, what do I have? I have $27 plus I have $8.50 times number of friends that are going should equal $78 total. So there is my equation written out. Okay. And so now all I need to do is then solve this equation, and I'm going to write out the equation like I did, and then I am going to look at, okay, we are going to first use the subtraction property of equality, and I am going to subtract 27 from both sides. Minus 27. Okay, and 27 minus 27 is 0. So I'm left with $8.50, or 850 n, 8 and 50 hundredth n is equal to 78 minus 21. 8 minus 7 is 1, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So that's 51. And now I have the coefficient times the variable. So I am going to do the division property of equality. I'm going to divide both sides by 850, because whatever I do on one side of the equation, I've got to do exactly the same thing on the other side of the equation, because an equation is a balance. And 850 divided by 850 is 1. So I have n is equal to, when I divide 51 by 850, I get 6. All right. So that means Toya has 6 friends at her party. And in order to check your work, all you're going to do is you are going to substitute the value. And so if I'm substituting the values, I would say 27 plus 850 times 6. All right. And when I multiply that, I am going to get 78. Okay. So we know that, yes, 6 people is what Toya had spent her birthday party money on. Okay. So let's do one last question. And we are going to solve an equation talking about Diego's aquarium contains 30 and a half gallons of water. He drains the water at a rate of 5 gallons per minute. So let me just first write it out so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So Diego's aquarium contains 30 and a half gallons of water. He drains the water at a rate of 5 gallons per minute for cleaning. Write and solve an equation to determine in how many minutes the amount of water will reach 10 and a half gallons. Okay, so let's first start with words. 30 and a half gallons, 30 and a half gallons. Okay, minus 5 gallons, minus, because it's draining the water, minus 5 gallons um, per minute, per minute equals 10 and a half gallons. Okay, so this is what basically, this is in words, what I was just saying. So this is in words. Okay, now the variable we are going to talk about, let's represent the number of minutes by m. Okay, so we're going to use the variable to represent the number of minutes. So m is the variable that we are going to use to represent the number of minutes. Okay, number of minutes. And then now we are going to write an equation. So we have 30 and 1/2 minus 5m, because that's the number of minutes. And I will end up with 10 and a half. So here is my equation written out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm looking at this one and I can see that this is positive. So I have to do the opposite of addition. Inverse operation would be subtraction. So I am going to subtract 30 and a half from both ends. Okay, so minus 30 and 1/2 minus 30 and 1/2. Okay, so 30 and a half minus 30 and a half, you get 0. And so I have negative 5m is equal to, these are opposite signs. So we are going to subtract the absolute values and give the sign of the bigger number. So here we go. 30 minus 10 is 20 and half minus half is 0. And the sign in front of the bigger number is negative. So negative 20 is what I have so far. And then I am going to use, this is multiplication. So I'm going to use the opposite of multiplication, which is the division property of equality. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5, negative 5. And negative 5 divided by negative 5 gives me positive 1. And 1 times m is going to be m. And the negative divided by negative is going to give me positive, which gives me 4. And so here is my answer. It will take 4 minutes to drain the tank to 10 and a half gallons. Okay, so so just remember once again, we are solving two-step equations in the format of px plus q is equal to r. And in this, we are basically solving the equations, and we are undoing the operations in reverse order of the order of operations. So first we remove by addition or subtraction, depending on what I have, on both sides of the equation. And then after that, I do either division or multiplication on both sides of the equation in order to solve the two-step equations. All right. Have a great day.